Alright guys, back again, late night gardening. So I'd bring you along, show you this thing, because I got some devices and inventions. No, not really, but yeah, just a way to do water your garden. If you haven't seen this before, it's just a little pond there, a little plastic. If you see my other video with a little drill attachment for digging, you go to the hardware store like Home Depot or Menards or Lowe's and get one of these little ponds. I think this one's like 100 gallon, it might be 150. But you get one like this, and then you get the little drill auger type thing, and you use that to loosen the soil and dig your pond. It makes it 1,000 times easier. That's how this pond got dug. Highly recommend those. I'll insert a video clip of my homemade one. It's made out of like a dog lead hold down anchor thing. I just cut the end off. Show you that once more. So that's how I dig holes and I plant my plants, and we'll get to the garden, but for now we're going to focus on and I'll show you all the stuff that this thing waters. Now it's hard to see because it's nighttime, but I'll walk down through all the stuff that I water with this. So for now, I'll show you. I got Alligator Island, and there's worms, there's some good soil there, and then these cattails, they grow out of it every year. I only put one in there, and it turned into this. It's kind of its own little aquatic environment. I think that I'm not really sure what animals and critters are all in here, but I know that there's a lot of fish. Those all started as feeders. Good 6 years ago, 5 years ago, I started putting feeders in every year. I've got just feeder fish from the bait shop. That's what I brought in here. And they live in this little pond, and they've grown up. Sometimes they eat the smaller ones. As they getting bigger, they just eat the new ones usually, but some of them make it out. There's some other fish in there. But yeah, so what I came up with is I have a pump down in a bucket. Now, you have to, for a pond like this, you have to have a filter. I call it a biofilter. I made my own, and all it is it's a copper bucket, a large copper bucket. You can't see it, but it's down in there. And inside of that bucket, I fill up with grow rocks. They're the like rocks that you would get at a grow store that are porous. They're for growing plants out of. If you're not familiar, just type in grow rocks or grow gravel. You'll see it's expanded clay. It's got lots of pores and water goes through it real easy. So it's the perfect thing for a filter. And what I do is copper bucket will never grow any algae or bacteria on it, hardly. It's basically sterilizes itself, which is amazing because you leave this in the bottom of this pond, pull it out, and that copper is clean. I saw it professionally doing remediation all the time in mold houses, nasty basements. The copper pipes would be clean. Crazy. But so that's why I use a copper bucket. And then I got the grow rocks with a pump. It's like from Harbor Freight. I think I paid $10 for it. I think it's a 15-watt pump, and it's a water pump. And I have it down in those grow rocks, and then I put big rocks on top of the grow rocks to create like a layer of big rocks. And that acts as my biofilter because all the water gets drawn down through the big rocks into the grow rocks and into the pump's pre-filter, and then up and through. And then I have a splitter, a T, and it goes off to one side, goes to this little, like, I don't know what you would call that thing, but it has a faucet. And you can see the water's dripping down. And then the other side goes to this water fountain, but you can see barely any water's moving. There is water moving, but not much. And you see it's all clean, but the birds just love this. They hang out on that. This is an upside down aquarium, so that whole top, it's got about 3/8 inch of water, and the birds just kind of hang out. Other wildlife comes and drinks off of that. That cup is a brass cup. It's got a hole drilled through the center. And why I did that is to make that an air bubbler, and it is. I'll show you in a little while. Once there's more flow, it actually aerates the water by creating air bubbles from water flow. And then on the opposite of that You see that? That's air bubbles creating current. I needed current in a pond. You need a little current. So the way I provide it is came up with just a small air stone with a 30-watt pump shoving through it, and that creates like a fountain of air bubbles, which moves a whole lot of water and sets up a current in here. And then I have a light back behind here that's on 24 hours a day, and that's basically like a swamp area back there, if you will, and it's just 1,000 mosquitoes. Like, I can sit here all night and won't get a single mosquito on me, but they're all back there hanging out by that light. And the fish just have a free-for-all and eat them. So the fish have unlimited food. I also feed them. I give them goldfish flakes and worms from the bait store and those bait fish. So they're well fed. And then there's this snapper turtle in there, baby snapper we found one time in the road way out in the city. So it was going to get killed. So we took it and we put it here. And I have only seen it once since I put it back here. So it could be gone. It could be in there still. It was a little mini, like a 1-inch alligator snapper looking turtle. And then I got frogs, hear them sometimes. And yeah, anyway, let's get back to what I was going to talk about, which was this thing I made. This contraption is basically just a vacuum and an air pump. That little device is taped into there. I'll put a link to the pump itself. It's awesome. You can run it on anywhere from 1 volt all the way up to, this is running 20 volts. I just put a 20 volt battery. I'll get it in a little while. Black & Decker. This used to be a weed whacker, but I just converted it over to be just my power unit, my power supply. And what this does is actually an air pump and a water pump. When you run it on 20 volts, it's made for 12. I think this motor is more like a 12 volt, but it runs great on 20, and it will run for hours at a time, which is really cool. So, yeah. And I use this to suck the air out of this aquarium periodically. Now, I haven't drilled a hole. Pretty soon I'm going to drill a hole in the top there because I have the nipple to go over a little piece of pipe that I'm going to JB weld into place or seal with marine seal. I'm not sure, but just want to put this little nipple there at the top, then I can draw the air out of the highest point, which is the right back corner. As you can see that line, I don't know if you can see that line right there, that's where the bubble starts. It's probably a millimeter across, and then all the rest of this is water right up to the top. Those little air bubbles are pure oxygen from the plants or fish farts. I'm not really sure. It's probably a combination thereof. But that gradually that bubble expands, and then it will fill the top, and about once a week it drops about 1/2 of an inch a week. So the air does need to be drawn out about every once a week or once every 2 weeks, because after 2 weeks it'll get down below that black edge there. You'll be able to see that there's air in the top. So anyway, so I created a tool for sucking the air out for now, which is it's just a piece of foam with some tape. I kind of shove that to stick, and then I can just put it underneath. I put it up and it floats up to the top, and that little jagged edge there allows air suction, and I can pull all the air out with this little air pump. And not gonna do it because there's only that little bit of air right now. Probably do it at the end of the week. But then I also have this, and I'll show you what this does. This is for cleaning out the bio filter, because you can either use water pressure, which I used to use, because when I was filling this, I would just hook a hose up to this output on this water fountain, or on the end of that, because they're the same size. So there's the output for that quarters to create a gap. So there's ever so slight amount of water coming out. We'll plug it and then increase that flow, because there's a T. Then we'll let it go. That didn't really help. But once I start pumping the air through, you'll see the difference, and it'll blast all the mud. It's a real fine silt that accumulates in the Biobox. So got to do that about once a week also. So yeah, now I'll show you blowing the air through the system, backflowing it, getting all this cleaned out. So we got good water flow for the birds and for the cooling and for moving all the dead insects and poo around and creating a small current and lots of aeration. So I just hooked this up. Now it's blowing air. Actually, some bubbles will start coming in through the Biobox. Actually, make that happen. That's clearing out the Biobox. Let air circulate through for a while. I always find this part kind of fun. It shoots water, do an arch right up into the pond, but we're clearing out the system. Eventually we get some air coming through the Biobox, but we're just gonna flow and backflow it a few times. All right, so now I got it flowing again. Got a decent amount of water coming up through there, rolling down. That's gonna be runs down the sides of that, down back and in. And this, like I was saying, it generates air bubbles. The way it does it, the water's falling out of that little faucet there. It's driving aeration because I got that little gap there. I used to use a penny, but now I just use a stalk of a plant. So, show you what plants this is all growing. So, it's growing all these peppers, garlics, thymes, just all kinds of lettuces. I should show you in the daylight, but yeah, lots and lots of tomatoes and potatoes galore all along the back. More potatoes. But yeah, I got two other gardens off-site, one in the alley, and I got another one at a nearby house. Anyway, thanks for joining me. Next time I'll show you the pumping the air out. But yeah, we'll just let her be. Like I said, this is the perfect water for fertilizing. And whenever it gets low, I just add some more. And use my watering can with the spoon on the end, if you haven't seen it, to water 2 gallons in about 30 seconds. But it puts it down gentle. It's a perfect way to water. Alright, we'll watch what happens. The laminar flow, just kind of nice. You water real quickly without damaging the plants because of the laminar flow. That was 2 gallons.